Hi, home cooks! Today I'm in the kitchen making a biscuit top chicken pot pie.
Bring comfort and nostalgia to your dinner table with this biscuit top chicken pot pie. The homemade cheddar biscuits bake up golden and soak up the flavors of the creamy chicken filling underneath.
This meal is wholesome, family-friendly, and easy to make. It's a great meal prep to store in the freezer for easy weeknight dinners. This hearty casserole combines tender chicken, hearty veggies, and a thick, creamy sauce, perfect for a cozy night in.
So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make a biscuit top chicken pot pie.
To start this recipe, I'm going to cook the chicken. I'm using 4 chicken breasts for mine, but you can use any kind of chicken that you have on hand. To cook my chicken for shredding into the pot pie, I'm going to, in a large pot, add 4 chicken breasts to enough water to cover over a few inches. Bring to a boil and cook for 15 to 20 minutes. If you're using bone-in chicken breasts, simmer for 25 to 30 minutes, depending on the size of the chicken breast. While I'm waiting for the chicken to cook, I'm going to wash, peel, and chop the veggies. I have my large Dutch oven on medium-high. I'm going to fry all the veggies first to give them a brown caramelized flavor. To do this, add 2 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of oil. Add in half a diced onion and stir until it just starts to soften. Then I'm going to add in 2 ribs of chopped celery and 2 large chopped carrots. Stir to soften and brown slightly in the fat. Now I'm going to add in 4 chopped potatoes, a 1/4 pound of sliced mushrooms, and some fresh or dried herbs. I normally use 1 teaspoon of dried tarragon for this recipe, but I still had some fresh thyme growing in the garden, so I'm going to use that here today instead. Stir this in, and then I'm going to cover and allow everything to fry and cook down for 5 minutes. Now my chicken has cooked through, and I'm going to remove it from the water and allow it to cool slightly before shredding it with 2 forks. At this point, I'm also going to add in 1 cup of frozen peas to the veggies. And now for that thick, rich, gravy-like sauce, sprinkle in a 1/2 cup of flour over top of the cooked veggies. Stir to coat the veggies until it looks like the flour has disappeared. Then I'm going to mix in 4 cups of stock into the floured vegetables. Allow the sauce to simmer and stir the mixture occasionally as the sauce starts to thicken. Finally, I'm going to stir in the shredded chicken and reduce the heat to low. Season this pot pie filling with salt and pepper to taste before adding the biscuit topping. And now to make these fluffy, buttery biscuits. In a large bowl, whisk together 4½ cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Then I'm going to add in 1 cup of cold cubed butter. Rub the butter into the dry ingredients with your fingertips. You could also use a pastry blender for this, or run the butter through a cheese grater before mixing it into the dry mixture. I'm just using my fingertips for this. I'm just rubbing and breaking up the cubes of butter until it almost disappears into the dry mixture. Now for some added flavor, I'm going to mix in 1½ cups of grated cheddar cheese. Just toss this evenly with your hands into the bowl. And now to bring the biscuits together, pour in 1¾ cup of milk. I'm going to continue to mix this in with my hands until the dough just comes together. The less you handle the dough, the more tender the biscuits will be. Now that the biscuit dough has mostly come together, I'm going to tip it out onto a lightly floured counter. I'm just going to gently squish and squeeze it a few times to bring the dough together. I'm not really kneading and developing any gluten like you typically would with bread dough here. Just form it gently together with your hands. Then I'm going to pat the dough out with my fingers until it's about a 1/2 inch thick. To form my biscuits, I'm going to cut the dough into circles. For this, you can use a biscuit cutter, a large cookie cutter, or an upside-down cup. And now, if you've cooked the chicken filling in an oven-proof dish, you can arrange these biscuits right on top. If not, you're going to transfer the mixture to a casserole dish. I'm just going to arrange my biscuits on top of the pot pie filling. This biscuit dough should give you enough to have a few extra biscuits on the side. And now my pot pie is ready to bake in my preheated 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius oven for 12 to 15 minutes, or until the tops of the biscuits are golden. And for any leftover biscuits that you have on the side, I'm going to place them onto a baking sheet and put them in the oven for the same amount of time. Now, this next step is optional, but for super soft, tender crusts, immediately brush the tops of the biscuits with butter after coming out of the oven. I also sprinkled a little bit of the herbs onto the top of the biscuits. And your pot pie is ready to serve with a generous scoop of the pot pie filling and a biscuit on top of each serving. This biscuit-topped chicken pot pie is the perfect way to transform everyday ingredients into a rustic feel-good meal.
And as always, you can find a link to the full written recipe in the description box below.
Enjoy! If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks for stopping by.